Welcome to the Self Love Model. On this podcast, we have open hearted and honest conversations about all things self love and the journey of self discovery. This podcast is for those on an everlasting journey of their own evolution, and most importantly, a safe space for us to heal together. I'm your host, Sid, and welcome to your self love session. Hello guys, welcome back to the Self-Love Model. We are officially in season 3 and I feel like it's perfect that we are in a new season, especially with the new year. 2025 is officially upon us, which means we are coming in hot. We are coming into this new year with that new year energy, okay? So let's talk about new year resolutions, and we've all heard of it, right, guys? Like new year, new me. And I know a lot of us are honestly sick of it. And I feel like I hear that a lot. Like people are always like, okay, like it just feels really cliche when people say new year, new me. And I totally get that. But now let's talk about why a lot of us say this? Like, why is it that so many people say new year, new me? And why is it such a thing to do new year resolutions? So, there's actually a reasoning behind this mindset and this energy that the new year brings for a lot of us. So, this feeling that we get when we get really excited about setting our New Year resolutions, it's actually called the New Year effect or the fresh start effect. So, when the new year hits, it signifies a temporal landmark. And the temporal landmark are significant points in time that promote a break from the past and a sense of renewal moving forward. So, common temporal landmarks can include the new year, birthdays, anniversaries, start of a new semester, start of a new job, moving into a new home or city, and some people even think of Monday and the start of a new week as a landmark. Researchers believe that linking aspirational change with a temporal landmark helps an individual mentally wipe the slate clean, and this is why it's called the fresh start effect. So, as annoying, as cliche as it can be to hear over and over again, new year, new me, I personally love the idea of it. And I think it's a wonderful thing to embrace this new year energy and use this new year energy to really carry us into this new year. Because honestly, why not? I feel like, especially around this time of the year, the weather sucks. Like, this weather we've been having is not fun. Like, it's very like gloomy. I feel like it just feels like things have been very gray and colorless. So for me, like anything that brings me slight joy and excitement and hope, I'm going to fully embrace that thing. And the new year resolution can be a symbolism of hope and empowerment. And like I said, life can be hard enough, and anything that gives us hope and empowerment, I think we should fully embrace it. With that being said, I can also understand the other part of how the New Year resolution can feel and the pressure that it can bring to a lot of us. Especially with social media, come on, like we gotta talk about it, right? I feel like with social media around this time of the year, like all you see is people posting their what they accomplished in 2024 and all the great things that they did. And like I feel like that's most of the posts we tend to see on social media when it comes to this time of the year. And it can be hard, especially if you personally feel like, oh, maybe you feel like you didn't achieve as much as someone else, right? So it can be hard to see that. And a lot of us, when when you see someone in like their achievements, what they've done with the year, really you should feel inspired by that. But the reality is that it's easier to compare ourselves and to feel jealousy when you see that. So I can understand how the New Year resolution can put a lot of pressure on us. And especially if you haven't taken the time to reflect on your past year yet. Because I feel like some of us, some of us take more time to reflect on things, especially, and I'm speaking from personal experience as well. Like for me, it's already like what I don't know. Today's the 9th as I'm recording this, and I'm still working on, writing down all my goals for this upcoming year and all the things that I'm looking forward to. And I am still taking the time to really reflect on this past year. Like, I am not done with it. And I personally think that January is like, I feel like the whole month of January is for us to reflect. And I don't think that is something we should feel rushed into. So definitely take this as a message if you've been feeling that pressure to slow down. It's okay. We're all on our own timeline. Like, slow down, chill out, and just take your time. For me, something that I did on New Year's Day, actually, I decided to go to my favorite trail, and it had been a minute since I had the chance to go to my favorite trail. So I took the time and just went on an hour walk by myself, and I didn't listen to music, podcasts, or anything. And I'll be honest, originally I was planning on listening to a podcast as I went on this long walk. But as I was leaving the house, I actually forgot my headphones. And I felt like that was meant to be. Like, I felt like it was meant to happen that way. And I'm so glad that I forgot my headphones because it forced me to walk in silence and really take in the sounds of nature and just be with my own thoughts and let whatever thoughts need to come in for me, like, come through. And I feel like a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough space to let those thoughts come through because we're surrounded by so much noise constantly, like always listening to podcasts, we're always consuming. And I think it's really good to take the time to give ourselves that space to let those thoughts come through because I feel like we have the answers within ourselves. And yeah, there's just so much noise in the world that when you finally cut that noise out, that's when your own truth can come out. So yeah, taking the time to allow yourself to reflect is so important, and to not like feel that pressure. If you need to turn off social media, turn off social media. And another thing I want to touch on when it comes to social media, which I know we all know this, but I feel like it's so easily forgotten, is that social media is a highlight reel. Social media is a highlight reel. Okay? That I'm repeating that again because I feel like sometimes it just takes repeating that over and over to really get it into our brain. And a lot of people, they post what they're happy about, and so it's really important to remember that, and to remember that everyone is on their own journey, everyone's on their own path, and to remember to celebrate one another, even though if you feel like someone else is ahead of you on your path, celebrate that. Be inspired by it. Like I said, it's so much easier to feel envious and to feel jealousy, but I am going to challenge you next time that you feel that way to really sit with yourself, sit with those feelings, feel it. It's okay to feel that. I feel that too, but whenever I do, I like force myself. If I feel a type of way, I force myself to like the post, or I let myself feel that feeling and let it be okay. Let myself be okay with that. I don't feel ashamed about it because I'm only human, and those feelings are natural to feel. I allow myself to feel it, and then I'm like, okay, I felt it and I'm letting that shit go. We let it go, and then I move on, and I am embracing my new thoughts because that's the thoughts I want to embrace. So then that's when I give it a like and I support, and I'm like, yes, like, you go, slay. And I'm like, and I feel like when you see someone that achieve something that you want to achieve or that you want to happen in your life, I feel like when I see someone that I know doing it, then it just shows me that it is possible for me. That the fact that someone who is within my circle or within my, like, just community is achieving that. How awesome is that? That means that it's possible for me too. You got to think like if they can do it, you can do it too. Like what is stopping you from doing that? There's nothing that makes you and them different. Like we can do anything that we set our minds to. Another thing that I want to touch on that part about us being on our own journeys. Some people might be more ahead of us, some people might be on our same path or behind us, we're on our own journey. And another thing is, I'm going to tie this all in, okay? So, social media is a highlight reel, right? So, when you see someone achieve something, you don't know how long it took that person to get to that place in their life. They might have had this long journey for years that you haven't noticed. You've only seen them achieving that. Like, you don't know how long it took that person to achieve it. So, I think that's why it's even more important to remember all these things that we're all on our own journey and that social media is a highlight reel and comparison is a thief of joy. Another thing that I want to talk about, because this is something that I personally practice in my own life, is living with the seasons. So, some of you might be familiar with this concept, or this might be a completely new concept to you, or you already actually practice this and you don't even realize you practice it. So, okay. So I actually Googled like what living with the season means. And according to Google, living with the seasons is intentionally aligning your lifestyle with the natural changes that occur throughout the year, like eating foods that are in season, participating in activities suited to the current weather, and generally embracing the rhythms of nature, allowing for a deeper connection to the environment and a sense of balance in your life. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good definition of living with the seasons. It does make sense. But like I remember a while back, I heard this concept on a podcast and I can't remember like exactly what they said, but basically like the concept of it, what it is in my head is like, so think about like if you're a farmer, like how you would be intentional with each season when it comes to like planting and like harvesting your crops and all of that. So for example, like um let me see. So for example, winter, which is the season we're in right now, winter is for resting, is for slowing down and really reflecting on the year that you've had. And then when springtime comes, springtime is for planting those new ideas, is for planting new seeds, and it's the time for opportunities. And then summer is for nurturing, so nurturing the seeds that you've been planting and taking action. Think about it, I feel like in the summertime, that's when like people are like go go go, like you're doing activities here, you're doing things there, like people are out and about. So I feel like summer it's like where like it's a busy season, like people are out doing things, taking action, making things happen. So the hard work really comes in the spring and summer, and fall is for reaping the harvest. So that's when you are able to. So in the spring and summer, you put in that hard work. So in the springtime, you planted the seed, you planted the ideas, you're letting things blossom. And then during the summer, you're really taking the action to make things happen. And you're putting in that hard work and nurturing the seeds. And then come fall, that's when you reap the harvest and things start to come into fruition and things that you've been planting starts to manifest. And then that's when winter comes. Like I said, that's when things slow down and you start to rest and really reflect on everything that had happened in the year. And spring, and then I was like looking up more like definitions of like living with the seasons, and I found some more that, could resonate more or make more sense for you guys. So spring can also represent new beginnings and youth, where summer represents passion, growth, and young adulthood. Autumn represents change, reflection, and maturity. And winter represents waiting, struggles, and an ending. And I feel like this concept is really true in my own business as well, just in my life. I feel like as an entrepreneur and building my business with photography, like this is literally spot on for me because winter is my slow season. So this is something that I've learned over the years now that I've been doing it. Now that I've been in my business for a couple years, like I'm starting to understand the patterns and just becoming more familiar with this. So when I like first started my business and like started doing it more full time, when winter came, it freaked me out. Like when my slow season came, like January, oh my God, I like lost my marbles because I was like, holy shit, like I don't have any sessions. Like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to make money? You know? But then I didn't realize that I needed that time to slow down because throughout the year I was so busy that when you're so busy, you don't have time for the back end of your business. For example, during the slow months, that's when you finally take the time to update your website and to, maybe have a better workflow where throughout the year you felt like something really held you back, but you didn't have time to fix that problem. So it's during the slow season that when you finally can do all the things that you haven't had the time for. And when you have that time to slow down, I feel like again it allows you to give yourself that space for new ideas to come. And I feel like when you give yourself that space, that's when I feel that spark again. And that's why I think that that's something that's been a huge lesson for me is just allowing myself to slow down. And I've really come to enjoy this slow season and to, just let myself be. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm someone who I'm sure most of you can tell this about me is that I'm someone who's like always go, go, go. Like I'm always doing something, I'm a very like I like to be productive. I like to keep busy. And that's like something I've also had to work on in my own life, right? Is just learning to slow down and not have to be doing things all the time. So something that I've learned with all of this is how when you actually slow down and do nothing, that can actually be the most productive thing you can do for yourself. Without that being said, when you are experiencing these feelings, there are a couple things I will urge you guys to remember. We're all on different seasons of our life and we're all on our own journey. If you feel like someone's ahead of you of where you want to be, acknowledge those feelings and know that yes, it's okay to feel that way, but use that to inspire you and know that you too can achieve those things as well. Right. And now on to our next topic, which I'm very, very passionate about. This part of the episode is goal setting and mindset. So, something that I want us to dive into first with goal setting is our mindset. Because to make actual real changes that actually sticks is first by changing our mindset because everything starts with our mind. And here are some examples that I feel like would help us understand why we have to change our mindset when it comes to creating goals that actually sticks with us, okay? So for example, so I'm going to use these examples where I feel like are easily understandable. Okay. So when someone wins a lottery and they end up spending it all and they're broke again, I feel like we hear this story all the time, right? Um, it's because they never changed their mindset from scarcity to an abundant mindset. So for them, they haven't taken the time to change their identity and their mindset from a broke person to someone who does have money and how to utilize that money and be smart with that money. Um, and then another example would be an unhealthy, overweight person who wants to become a healthy, fit person and lose 100 pounds. Let's say they do lose that weight, but they didn't change their mindset and their beliefs. So in their head, they are still that fat kid. And eventually, they're going to self sabotage and go into their old ways because subconsciously, that's who they believe they still are. Another example that I can think of is when people get those weight loss surgeries. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but where they like get part of their stomach taken out and like it just they end up having a really small stomach. I know a couple people that have gotten this done, and I know the work that it takes to like get that done. Like before the surgery, you have to, from my understanding, from what I remember, is that you have to take a lot of classes. Like you spend hours taking classes, reading books to change your mindset. And I think you have to see someone as well because they want to make sure that you are mentally in a good place before you have the surgery. Because once you have that surgery, you cannot be the same person you were before because your stomach is literally not going to be able to handle like your old habits. So you literally have to change your habits, change your mindset, become this new person to be able to have the surgery and to really change your life for good. That's why I'm so passionate about this topic and changing our mindset because our mindset is everything. And a way that I've noticed how I've incorporated this into my life, it's back when I first came up with the self-love model. So it was back in 2023 when I first came up with the self love model. And when I first came up with this term, guys, I never ever in my life thought that it would become a podcast. Never. At first, I just really wanted to start showing up as an influencer and build my online presence. I knew that I wanted to become the self-love model. Like I wanted to embody someone who loved themselves so much because I had to come from a place where I really was not someone who was like that. I had so much work I had to do on myself. Like that's why I'm so passionate about it. A lot of times I feel like the things that we teach and we preach is because it's something that we've had to work on a lot, right? So for me personally, I had to come from a really far place to get to like this mindset and to become the self-love model. So as I actually spent these past couple weeks reflecting, I actually grabbed all my journals and planners throughout the years since the beginning of my healing journey. And I like to just flip through them to help me reflect and see my progress. And that's actually when I found in my 2023 notebook that I wrote become the self-love model. And I remember getting that idea and immediately putting that next to my Instagram handle because that was like a big deal to me, like for everyone to see. And I remember just like laying in bed and I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I am going to fully embody this new me, this new version of me that I want to be, which is the self love model. So, for me, a way to do that was putting it next to my name. So, I put Cindy, the self love model. And like, for me, that's a big deal in itself because like imagining like for me, I just imagine people like waking up the next day and then all of a sudden seeing my name with the self-love model next to it and being like, okay, like what does that even mean? You know? So for me, because like if you think about it, social media is like such a big part of our own identity. It's how we project ourselves out into the world. So for me, that was like a way of saying this is my new identity. So by putting that next to my name, it signified a new me. It was how I was able to really step into this new identity and becoming the self-love model. I just every time I say the self-love model, I have to sing it, guys. I have to sing it. um so I spent the year of 2023 becoming the self-love model. And after spending a year being the self love model, that's when in 2024, the Self Love Model podcast was born. So it takes first being the person that you want to be, and then to doing, then is to having. So you must first be and then do and then have. I hope that makes sense, but I'm going to talk more and then hopefully that will like click for you guys. But you first you must first change your mindset and become what you want to be. And then once you decide who you want to be, you got to start acting like her. You got to start doing it and then you will have it. So right now, I feel like I'm still very much early in my journey of the whole self love model podcast. So I feel like I spent a year being the self love model. Like I was wanting to show up as an influencer, wanting to show up and build an online presence. So that's what I did. I was a self love model. I had that next to my name. And then the year after that, which was 2024, this past year, that's when I started my podcast and I started actually doing my self love model podcast. And then now I feel like I'm still in that stage of doing, and I'm going to continue to keep doing. I don't know when I'm going to be able to maybe get a sponsorship, which we are manifesting. Okay. We are manifesting. I'm just going to put it out there. um, but I'm just going to continue to do it because this is truly what I love. It makes me really happy. And I feel like I'm on my purpose, I'm on my path. So I'm going to keep doing it. And for me, I've really fallen in love with this process and this journey. And that's what really matters at the end of the day. It's not about the destination. And I feel like whenever the rewards, whenever the monetization comes in, then that would be honestly just a cherry on top, you know? It'll show that all my hard work is paying off, and I will be a very happy girl when that happens. Now, there's plenty of podcasts out there that will give you guys the step by step to setting goals and how to make this year your best year yet. And I know they will do a way better job than me because, frankly, I'm still learning all of this stuff. And I have been consuming quite a few podcasts and YouTube videos on this topic lately, just because, I'm trying to get myself in that mindset of this new year and really get myself excited and motivated. So what I'm going to share with you guys are my personal favorite takeaways from what I've learned about goal setting. And these are things that I've taken away from all the stuff I've like consumed and things that I'm personally also implementing into my life. So tip number 1 is to be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. Really take the time to sit, reflect, and think what it is that you want. Not what other people want, not what society wants. What do you want? And to be honest, this one can take some time. And for me personally, I feel like each year my goals have shifted, they've changed, you know, and that's okay. Like things change. What you want out of life can change with different seasons of your life. And as you learn more about yourself, you can start to gain more clarity on what it is that you really want. And I feel like that's what has happened for me, like throughout all these years of setting goals, setting my intentions for the year. And each year I'm like, okay, I think I want this. I think this is how I want it to feel. And I feel like that the each year and the more that I do it, the more that I'm starting to really gain clarity on what it is that I want. And like I feel like this year, um, setting my goals and stuff, I'm like, yeah, like I feel really confident and I feel really good about these things I'm putting down that this is what success looks like to me, that this is what my dream life looks like to me. Um, so my goals definitely have evolved, and each year I gain more clarity on what it is that I want. So it's okay. This stuff takes time, but the important thing is to really take time to sit and write down what you want, because you can't achieve something if you don't have if you don't know what you want, right? Um okay, so tip number 1 is be honest, and tip number 2, creating a vision board. Guys, okay, so before I start this part off, a quote that I want to start us off is, if you don't know what your dream life is, how are you going to create it? So, okay, so guys, last year was actually the first time that I ever made a vision board. And that's something I've always wanted to do, right? But I just never actually took the time to make one or like actually take action in it. And this last year, thanks to my friends, we like all got together and had a little vision board party, which was so fun. And we all got our stuff and we all shared our goals at the end. And it was just really fun to be able to do that with my friends. And doing that really helped me uh really helped me understand the importance of making a vision board and like just how fun it was. I really enjoyed it. So that's why this is now officially something that I plan on doing every year. And this year I also made a vision board as well. And like after I made it, could not stop looking at it because of how happy it made me, like how excited it made me looking at my vision board. And I think that's how your vision board should make you feel. When you're making your vision board, like you looking at it should bring you so much happiness and excitement. And that's when I feel like you know you made the right vision board, okay? Like, and then when you're trying to figure out what to put on your vision board. So for me, I just went on Pinterest and, I have some goals, some things that I wanted to do, went on there and looked it up. So for a couple examples, one was that I want to go to Sedona, Arizona this year. So I just looked up Sedona, Arizona and looked up some things and, pinned that. And I also have like some other photography goals, some goals with my brand. And I would look up pins, like whatever aesthetic that I'm looking for. And, whatever picture pops up, certain pictures will make me feel a certain way. Like I'll look at it and I'll just be so drawn to it. And that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely want that on my board. And so last year, when I first made my vision board, so I feel like this is kind of like a symbolic. So I'm going to share this with you guys. So I actually had two separate vision boards. So I had like two small like cork boards, and I obviously had a lot of stuff I wanted to put on my vision board because that's just me. I'm a girl with a big vision. Like I have so much stuff I want to do. Like I just, like I can't have just one small board. So I like grabbed two small board, and I have my life, how I wanted my life to look and feel, and things I wanted to do in my life on one side. So it was like my personal things, right? Like I wanted to be a morning person, which that never happened. I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. And then like I wanted to like cook at home with my partner or do like whatever with my friends. So I had that on one board. And then another board was like my career stuff, like starting a podcast, growing in my photography and doing more collaborations, stuff like that. So I had two separate boards. And, you know, at the end of the year, like in this past couple weeks, as I was looking at my vision board for 2024, I felt like I really achieved my career goals. Like that's something that I'm just, I'm a very driven person. I'm very like ambitious. There's a lot that I want to achieve when it comes to my career. So I really like spent a lot of time this past year with my career goals. And then when I looked at my life goal, yes, I felt like I achieved some things on there, but I could tell there was an imbalance that like when it comes to career, I felt like I went all in on that. And I felt like the energy of how much I put into each was not as balanced. However, I will say that I am a lot more balanced now compared to how I used to be. Like I feel like each year has been different. And I feel like slowly I've been able to be have more of a balance between like my masculine and feminine energy. Um so I thought it was funny that I had it separate because this year, instead of making two separate boards, I just did one big one, and I actually just did it online because originally I wanted to do a physical one because I feel like it's just so fun, cutting stuff up, like gluing it, taping it, or whatever. Like it's just fun to do it physically. But because of the snowstorm that we had, I wasn't able to print stuff off, and I really wanted to do it during that time. So I just did it on Canva and I did it online, and honestly I'm so glad I did that, and I feel like that's just what I'm going to continue to do from now on. And right now I made it and I put it's the background of my laptop, and I just love it so much because obviously I get on my computer every day to work, and I love that that's like the first thing I see. So before I start work, I literally just like sit there and just stare at my vision board, and I'm like looking at each individual thing, and it's just so nice. Like, I'm really happy with it. It's been such a fun thing for me to do. And yeah, if you guys have never made a vision board, I highly recommend. But anyway, so back to my symbolism thing. I feel like, having two separate boards, I feel like my career and my work life versus my personal life was very separated. And for me personally this year, I really want to have a good balance of integrating both and really creating a lifestyle where, my work is just so easily integrated into my life and being able to just bring the same amount of energy to both aspects of my life. Okay, so that is tip number 2 is creating a vision board. Tip number 3 is believe in yourself and your goals. So how many times have you written down a goal and you're already doubting it? You're already investigating it, and let's be honest, because I've definitely done that myself where I've like set certain goals and it's like when you set certain goals you just like already are kind of like feeling like I don't really know if that's really actually going to happen, but like I, yeah, like that's a goal of mine. I feel like that's like a mentality I've had in the past where my self-belief in myself wasn't strong enough to where, or maybe I just didn't have as much clarity on what goals I wanted to achieve yet, to where certain goals just didn't really fully align with me, but I felt like that was my goal, or I just didn't really believe enough in myself. And girlies, like for me, this year is really my year of self belief. I really feel it deep in my soul that this is going to be a good year. I've just personally have been working really hard, these past years, like working on myself and all the things. And I just feel like this is the year. And I'm just really excited for all that to come. I want you guys to feel that same way that I feel, okay? So it's time for you to believe that it is actually possible to achieve your goals. And remember, just because it's on your vision board doesn't mean that it has to happen this year. Some goals can take longer, and that's okay. It's okay to have a big vision. I feel like I would rather dream big and have a big vision than dream too small, you know? And tip number 4, identify what it is that you have to grow in order to achieve that goal. So, our goals need growth to achieve them. Growth is identifying what is that one skill that you don't have that is holding you back. So, a couple examples for me is developing my discipline, because I feel like to get to this next level of my life and to achieve my goals I have set, I personally feel like I need to work on my discipline. So that is like the one skill that I am working on. And I'll give you guys more examples how, okay, so now I'm working on my discipline. So now, what am I going to do to develop my discipline, right? So for me, I'm actually right now doing dry January, and I'm not for alcohol. I'm doing dry January for weed. um, for those of you who don't know, I smoke. I am a fellow pothead. And I just felt like weed, like it's not harmful, like, and I just felt like it was something that like it just became too habitual for my liking. Like I started doing it every night before bed to help me relax. And even if I like wanted to go to the movies or just do something fun, like I would be like, oh, let me smoke weed, let me like so I can elevate the experience or whatever. I just felt like it was just becoming, like I said, too habitual. And I could tell when I was when I was smoking weed, like some of the habits I didn't really like. And yeah, so that was for me personally something that I just felt like, you know what? Let's like I'm since I'm working on my discipline right now, let's quit weed for just a month. And honestly, I feel like it's good to have a little tea break, right? Because when you're smoking all the time, like you build up that tolerance. And like for me, I could tell I was like doing it too much, because even like just like I'm personally a pretty lightweight when it comes to weed. And it was getting to the point where like I would take an edible and I was like, oh, I'm like barely feeling it. I'm just chilling, to where I felt like I needed to take more than one, And I'm like, no, I don't really need to do that. So yeah, for me personally, I felt like a break was necessary, and it's been good. At first, the first couple of days, I was a little bit like, before I really was set on like my goals, before I was really set on my goals and wanting to work on my discipline, I already was like, you know what, I should quit weed for a month, like to do dry January. But I wasn't really like, I didn't have like a really good reason yet. So for me, I was like, still kind of like, like I mean, I could just like quit for a couple days, and if I want to smoke, I'll smoke, and like it's fine. Who's gonna know? Like no one's gonna know. It really is not harming anyone. It's not harming me. But then once I realized, oh yeah, no, I want to work on my discipline. Now that I have like a goal and a why behind why I'm doing that, it's like motivated me. I'm like, yeah, no, it's honestly been a lot easier since I've defined my why behind doing this, and now it's hasn't been a problem. Whereas like before, there were so many times where I wanted to like, oh, I should just not smoke tonight. I can go to bed without it. But then I'd be like, no, I'll just do it. Like, because I didn't have like a clear why of why I wanted to do it. It was too easy. So I feel like that's another thing, is really defining your why behind why you want to achieve this goal as well. Um yeah, so that's one skill that I'm working on, is developing my discipline. And I feel like by doing this too, I am also building on my mental toughness as well, and also building that self trust with myself as well, because I'm showing myself that I can follow through with my own promises by sticking to this. So that's how I'm working on my discipline in the month of January. And I think I'm still kind of like working this out and deciding exactly what I want to do. But I think what I want to do is each month kind of set something small like that, to where I have to follow through it for the whole month. So then after January is over, in February, I'm going to think of something new. I think another thing I have in mind that I want to work on is just not hitting my, like, not snoozing in the morning. Like, I'm not trying to be a morning person anymore, because I try all that and it didn't work. And I feel like right now I'm just fully embracing in my night owlness, and it's working for me, and I'm happy with that. Um, but I think I do want to work on not snoozing in the morning. So like whatever time I set to wake up, like I want to try and hit like 7 hours minimum of sleep. That's what works for me. I feel like 7.5, 8 hours is good for me personally. And so whatever time I set to wake up, like I don't want to like sleep in more. Like I want to just like get up, because I feel like that's just like a good little habit to have, right? So yeah, that's just something little that I'm doing, and it's really the little things like that that will really carry into the big changes in our lives. So this is actually called the keystone habit. So, okay, let's talk more about this. So the keystone habit is the one habit in your life that you're going to change, which is actually going to make a huge change in your life, and it just takes that one small habit, right? It's the keystone. So something that Jay Shetty said in his podcast, which his podcast is called On Purpose. If you guys don't listen to it, you should go check it out. It's one of my favorite podcasts. He said in his podcast that 20% of our life leads to 80% of our wins. So focus on the 20%. Example, like going to bed early. That's one habit that can lead to the 80% of his life. So when you go to bed early and you're getting really good sleep, you're waking up on time, then it's like, you guys get what I'm saying. It's just like slowly going to affect all these other areas of your life. You're going to be in a better mood. You're going to have better productivity. And that's all from just changing one little part of your life. Tip number 5 is give yourself grace and compassion. You're going to make mistakes. You're most likely going to fall off at some point this year. And I most likely will as well. But instead of beating ourselves up and feeling shameful and giving up altogether, just get back from that mistake as quick as you can. We're all humans. Shit's gonna happen. Life is it's gonna life, and we're gonna fall off. That's okay. The thing that matters is how quickly can you get back up from that mistake or that failure. Tip number 6 is measure what matters, create smart goals. So, when we're setting our goals, we want to set goals that we can actually measure. So that way, when we measure our goals, we can actually ensure that we're moving in the right direction and that we're moving in the right direction. So, set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So, clear and actionable resolutions are easier to follow than vague aspirations. Create a plan and measure your goals so it moves. And when you create a plan, follow through with that plan. So, a quote that I personally have on my vision board this year is follow your plan, not your mood. Um, Another thing that Jay Shetty talked about in his podcast was how the past generations ignore their feelings. And now in our generation, we trust our feelings. And the problem with that is that we don't do what is right for us sometimes. Sometimes we end up trusting our feelings too much that we don't end up doing what we're supposed to do. And for example, like I've brought up this example before, it's like, you need to go to the gym 4 times a week, but one day you just don't feel like it. You're like, I've had a long day at work. I'm just going to skip today. But it's times like that your feelings don't matter. Like, you really should go to the gym because going to the gym is actually going to help you feel better in the end. So that's why I have on my vision board, follow your plan, not your mood. And then make sure your goals are just measurable to where you can actually measure it either by daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Like, for an example for that too is, instead of just saying I want to exercise more, where that is like kind of a vague goal, right? Instead of saying that, say I will go to the gym 3 times a week for 30 minutes. So that way it's actually measurable. And last but not least, tip number 7 is finding your community or a coach. Finding accountability or community to help you achieve your goals. So, how I'm personally implementing this into my life is that one of my goals on my vision board this year is just really wanting to build more of a community for myself. And that's like, I'm just someone who's always been huge on community. It's always been on my goal. Like, it was on my vision board last year and it's on my vision board again this year. But this year, I'm really craving that community where I feel uplifted and supported, and really finding there's different types of communities that I am looking for in my life this year. One is sisterhood. Like, I am really craving deeper friendships in my life right now, especially the older I get, the more that I am craving really deep friendships and sisterhood in my life to where I feel supported and uplifted, where we can celebrate each other and really just be there for each other. And that's definitely something that I am working on and looking to have more in my life. And in order to have those deep relationships as well, that's something that I'm working on with myself, to be able to hold those relationships and showing up as a person I need to be to have those relationships. So yeah, that's one way that I am seeking community. Another way is putting myself out there more in my community, especially with photography as well. I feel like when you have your own business and you work on your own, it's really easy to kind of just get into your bubble and just like do your own things, work with your clients, all of that. But right now, I'm really wanting to attend more like events, more networking events, and go to workshops, or maybe do a style shoot, go to creative meetups, like things that maybe in the previous years I wasn't like going to. I feel like I would go to them, but I would be pretty nervous about it, wouldn't attend as much. But this year I really want to go out of my way to look for those and to attend to those, and just be more a part of my community, like in photography. I want to have more photography friends, to be honest. So if you're listening to this and you are in the creative community, you don't have to just be a photographer. Let's link up, message me. I will love to link up, okay? But yeah, so like I want to have community in that way. And I also just want to find, like, I want to just go to coffee shops with people who are building on stuff, like people who are on the same path as me, or even ahead of me. That would be great, because then I'm sure there'd be a lot that I can learn from them. But I want to just go to coffee shops and just like all of us just like work on our own thing. And like, if we have a question, if we need something, we can like ask the other person, just like collaborate, work on our own stuff and then collaborate when we need to. And I don't know, I just want to find that for myself, and something that I've always wanted. And I've seen online, it's like, I don't know if you guys have heard of it or this might be new to you, but like those mastermind groups, I think that's what it's called, to where like like maybe you get together a group of like 5 people, and all five of you are working on something. Like you're working on your business, you're building something, and you meet like every month, and then you talk about what you worked on this month, what wins you have, what things didn't go plan, and what you're struggling with, and like you like have these topics and you share them with each other, and then you hold each other accountable and then provide solutions for each other. So that's like something I really want. So I don't know whether maybe I can build that for myself or find that, but I'm putting it out into the world right now, and I feel like I'm a pretty good manifester, and I feel like it'll happen. So that's a way that I'm looking to find community and accountability. And another way that I'm implementing this into my own life is I've actually been working with a fitness coach. His name is Tim. He's amazing. He works at my gym, and um, and it's been a while since I've worked with a coach, and that's something I decided I wanted to start implementing in my life again. Just because, I really wanted more of that accountability factor. I feel like, I know I'm very, I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to, fitness, health, all of that. But I felt like I was kind of reaching this point where, like, yeah, like I'm happy with where I'm at, but I'm wanting a little bit more. And it's been great working with him because I feel like that accountability factor has definitely really helped, because there have been days where I'm like, "Ugh, I really don't feel like going, whatever." But then I'll like get myself to go because I'm like, I hate disappointing people. So I'm like, gosh, I can't disappoint Tim. Like, I gotta go. So I'm like, I gotta show up as the athlete that I say I am. So yeah, it's been great working with a coach, and I've learned things from him already when it comes to nutrition and just implementing new workouts as well. And then other ways that you guys can do this is just by sharing your goals with a trusted friend, and or online community to solidify your commitment. Because when you like actually share something, I feel like there's that like factor to where you're like, oh shit, like I've shared this, I've got to actually like do it. I feel like it puts more of that pressure versus when you don't share it, you just keep it to yourself. And just surrounding with yourself with people who share your goals and actively support your efforts. That's definitely something that I've talked about that I am working on. So yeah, guys, that is everything. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I feel really, really good about it. And it felt good to be doing this again, especially in my new podcast room. I'm also recording today, and I know I say this all the time, but I'm fingers crossed that I can actually get this video going. I really want to be able to post on YouTube and have, a video podcast for Spotify as well. And I did get a new laptop, so fingers crossed that, we can actually get this stuff going and start building onto what we already have. But yeah, I'm so happy, guys. Yee. Ah, I feel like this was a fantastic episode. I'm very proud of myself. And I hope you guys took away some fun things, and let me know. Let me know what you guys' goals are, or maybe some other tips that really helps you when it comes to setting goals. Let me know what you took away from this episode, what you liked about it. And yeah, just give me all the feedback, please, because it helps me know that, I'm doing something and that somebody is listening. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Oh, and I want to leave you guys with a couple things, okay? So another thing that Jay Shetty said in his podcast, um, he's ended his episode with saying, 2025 is your year. 2025 is the year you'll remember that you changed and transformed your life. Not because 2025 was different, but because you chose to be different. You chose to make a difference in your life. Mic drop. But like, how powerful is that, right? Obviously, it's just another day. Like, yes, it's another year, but it's not going to be different if you don't choose to be different, okay? So it's up to you to make the change of your life. You are in control of your life. You are the creator of your life. You got this, sis. I believe in you, and I am here for you. All right, guys, remember to Share this podcast if you enjoyed it. Share it with friends and family. It really does help me a lot. And leave me a review if you've enjoyed listening to me. And yeah, let's grow together. Here's to our year, guys. Bye.